For this competition, all entries were awarded. We begin with the colour acceptances. Breakfast 1 is colourful and tells a story, but the composition is a bit busy, too many visual elements, and the exposure is a little dark. Changing colours has interesting colour, but it needs something more, e.g. a strong point of interest, to hold attention. Good use of perspective. Crazy Bike Trail, West Coast, Tasmania 1, is an interesting overall landscape with the winding bike trails in the distance. The exposure could be brighter. The image would have been stronger if you'd been able to zoom in closer and make the bike trails a feature. I've Got This 1 is a good close-up of the meerkat taken against the light. A bit more light on the eyes would have improved the image. Also, the frond in front of the animal is a distraction. A slightly different viewpoint may have been better. Mackenzie Headshot fills the frame, but it is possibly a little too close, as some details have been cut off at the top of the frame. Also, there are no details in the eye. Good background. Red Dragonfly is a good subject, but the dragonfly needed to be sharper for its whole body. It also needed to be closer for greater impact. Arch and Tower, Port Arthur, has effective composition with good details and good exposure. The arch forms a useful frame for the tower beyond. Belfry is a bit different, a foreground featuring multiple bats and a tower in the background. Bats in the belfry, I assume. Blue Wren 2 is a good composition and an interesting subject, but it's not really sharp enough on the main subject. Dramatic Colours is a dramatic landscape and sky with good colours. The composition is effective with a high horizon. I'm not sure if the foreground rocks are critically sharp. The curvature of the horizon could be corrected in post-processing. Driftwood is well composed with a high horizon and some foreground interest. It's not overly exciting subject matter, but it is technically sound. Home Beach has good exposure with soft pastel colours and good foreground details. Greater Egret is well framed and taken close up to the bird. The egret does compete somewhat with its busy background. A shallower depth of field would have thrown that out of focus. Hi Dad is an unusual portrait with good subdued lighting. It would have been better if the hand was also in focus through use of greater depth of field. Hai from Kenya is quite a good informal portrait of the boy, well framed with no distracting details. Jamie Fraser Mackenzie is a good close-up image of a very cute dog. It includes an inquisitive expression and eye contact. Newborn calf has good lighting, sharp focus, and it's well composed. The calf has been taken against the light to create rim lighting. There is a minor distraction in the background. Sheffield's Mountain, too, is an interesting subject taken in reasonable light, but early morning or late afternoon light would create more saturated colours. You could crop in slightly. St Kilda Beach has nice subtle hues and is generally a good composition. However, it would be visually stronger with tighter cropping, e.g. crop some of the sky and the left side of the image. Summer Falls. A slow shutter speed has captured the falls well to show a soft misty stream and suggest the movement of the water. The blurred area on the right of the image is distracting. It's possibly moving branches. You could try cropping it out. Waratah has interesting subject matter that is well lit against a dark background. The diagonal composition works well. Waterfall number 4. The composition is good, with a high horizon and strong foreground interest. For me, the shutter speed is a little too long, as it has left some parts of the falls with no details or texture in the water. The foreground swirls are good, though. Window to an Architect's Mind is an interesting piece of architecture that has been well seen and well framed. Bath Time 2 is a colourful, storytelling nature image. It's well composed and sharp on the bird's head and eye. Brown Tree Creeper in Flight has a well-captured subject, and it is reasonably sharp against a soft, diffused background. Different Vibe in Evening Light has good saturated colours, taken at the right time of day for this type of scene, when the building illumination is on and there is still some light in the sky. In Control. Even though it is bright in some areas, the main subject is very well captured and sharp. It's a good action image that tells a story. North Esk Solitude. This is a very subtle, almost high-key image. It's well composed, with an off-centre subject, soft tones, and a certain mood. Oh Dear is well composed, with a great expression on the little girl. It captures human emotions, e.g. sadness, or perhaps anger. Red boat is well framed, and the red boat and its reflection make a strong point of interest. The foreground and sky include good details. Stave Church, Norway, is a very interesting building and a dramatic sky. The image has impact. The small building at left and the tree at the right frame the building well. Blue-banded bee is a sharp and well-composed macro image that tells a nature story. Excellent detail. Little-pied cormorant has excellent framing and very sharp details against a diffused background. Well done. Vietnamese Girl is a lovely, well-composed image that is sharp where it needs to be. There is good, even lighting on the face, good skin tones, and a pleasant expression. Well done. Anzac Bridge, Hobart. The bridge is of some interest, but I wonder whether a horizontal format may have been better to reduce the amount of sky and foreground. The overall lighting is a bit dull. The pedestrian on the bridge is a good additional element, but would have been in clearer view a few seconds later. Power, present and future. The image has a good sky and there is potential with the power generation contrast story, but I found the foreground to be a bit busy and confusing. It may have been better to get more separation between the towers from a different viewpoint. Gulls napping is an interesting subject, showing the seagulls resting. The central bird is sharp and well defined, but the birds on the right are unsharp and overexposed. You could try cropping off some of the right side for a stronger image. Afternoon Stroll Incognito is quite good and it tells a story. It looks like it may have been taken during the COVID lockdown periods. The buildings form a frame for the people. Good tonal range. Approaching weather change is an interesting landscape, particularly with the dramatic sky. There is a good tonal range and high contrast. You could possibly crop off some of the bright plants in the foreground or darken them a little. Bolton Abbey, Midwinter Chill, is an interesting building in a winter landscape. I would, however, suggest cropping most, if not all, of the very bright sky to concentrate viewer attention on the rest of the image. Convict Ruins, Saltwater River, Tas, 2. These are interesting enough ruins. The subject is well framed with a dramatic sky. Garden ornament is a good close-up of the parrot just sitting in the garden. There are good details captured on the bird. Gold Coast High Rise is a well-taken image of high-rise buildings, showing the contrast between styles as well as a sliver of building demolition in the foreground. Just out of interest, the 3 jewel towers at the back of the image can make a very graphic image if taken in isolation, e.g. from the beach. Hotel Europe, Vancouver, is an interesting enough cityscape taken in early evening light. Good tonal range. Sechelt Inlet is well composed, with strong foreground interest and an interesting sky. Sky High has strong graphic angles, lines and shapes. It is quite good. That Tickles 1 is an interesting close-up of an echidna and its handler. The Old and the New. This image includes a contrast between the old and new buildings. The subject fills the frame, plus there's an interesting sky. The Wave and the Fisherman. The fisherman, stooping down at the right, looks like he's about to be pounded by the large wave. There's good contrast between the light and dark areas. The fisherman is a bit hard to see though, at least on a computer screen. Great detail in the wave. The Wheel is a simple but effective image taken close up on a section of a wagon wheel. The lighting highlights the textures. Arum Lily is a simple minimalist composition with good details in the lily. The placement of the lily within the frame is good. Church, Port Arthur, shows an interesting building with good overall exposure and tonal range. The lighting highlights the building's textures. Dandelion is a simple close-up of a dandelion seed head, which has created an interesting monochrome image with good details. A minimalist composition. Luca, 1 of 1, is a good portrait of the young girl taken in soft and even light. The girl's neutral expression and eye contact are good. Missy on the Watch is well composed, with excellent lighting and sharp details, also a good tonal range. New Zealand Lady 2 is a well-posed portrait taken in subdued light, well framed. Steam train. There is good use of perspective in this scene. It's an interesting subject with the burst of steam bringing it to life. Good range of tones.